Right, now, moving on to something completely different, but also really interesting. It's got to do with a debate, is pro wrestling dead?
Yeah?
Yeah, like, has pro wrestling been removed now from being a sport, or is it transformative now into something else? Okay, so, have you been watching the Super Junior Cup?
Not really.
Have you watched any of it?
I watched the Ricochet Osprey match.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyone who doesn't know what the Super Junior Cup is, do you want to run it down?
Basically, it's New Japan. Like, New Japan do this World Cup every year, basically, where it's junior heavyweights.
It's like the King of the Ring for junior.
Yeah,
heavyweights.
essentially. Yeah, but like they don't just pick guys who are under New Japan contract.
No, it's all over the world. Yeah,
they take pretty much anyone of repute from around the world who's a junior heavyweight.
Yeah,
and
so former winners have been like Black Tiger 2, Wild Pegasus, Kento Kushina, Tawala, Justin Liger, Tiger Masks, various Tiger Masks. Yeah. Devitt won it as well, actually. Devitt won it twice.
Yeah. Osprey was the winner this year.
Osprey won this year, yeah.
Yeah. Which actually I'm going to be talking about him in a minute too.
2 years ago as well. Now the reason why I bring it up is because during, I think it was the semis or the quarters.
Yeah.
Ricochet and Osprey had a match.
Yeah. And it was good.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good match, but people are freaking out saying it was more of a acrobatic display than wrestling. Well, which, to be fair,
the first third of that match is certainly
to play devil's advocate. The first third of the match, they don't even touch each other for a very long time. Yep. They're literally just flipping back and forward.
There's like what you could call like lucha style chain wrestling.
They don't even touch each other, man.
No, there's like in the bit, like in the infamous GIF bit,
yeah,
there's Hurricane Rana attempts and stuff there. Like I'm sorry, but like that is actually trying to compete. Like
and like I liked it. I don't have a problem with
the
it.
Match
people do.
The match. The main criticism I have about that match is that there isn't enough attempts to pin each other.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Like I've heard people say that like. That the Death Valley Driver should have been a bigger spot, which
because you never see a Death Valley Driver,
like the Death Valley Driver on the apron. Yeah, but I also really like how it flowed very quickly into a reverse Rana. I thought that was a really well executed sequence. Like I get where they're coming from. I think the sequence overall kind of worked. To say pro wrestling is dead is, I mean, it depends. Like in America, you could certainly make the argument because attendances are really crappy.
No, that's not why they're saying wrestling's dead.
They're saying because it's
because of that match was so absolutely ridiculous.
Have they watched junior heavyweight matches? Have they watched Lucha for the last 20 years?
Of course not.
Have they watched junior heavyweight matches for the last 20 years?
No, they just
then they're just dumb. They're just dumb if that's the case. Because I'm sorry,
so many people.
I am sorry
on different forums and stuff. Have said this. Like,
I'm sorry, but you're not. If you think this match killed wrestling, you just haven't been watching wrestling for the last 20 years. Because like, even if you go back, if you watch when you watch Davey Richards' reign as Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, how many times is there ridiculous false finishes during his time there that make no sense and destroy storytelling?
But that's been independent. See, the thing about it is, right? Yes, the Ricochet Osprey match was independent. It's the natural conclusion of independent wrestling for the past 10 years. I would actually, since
high flying, since
2002. The Ring of Honor style, which is spot, going 100 miles an hour, spot, 100 miles an hour. And then they eventually go...
The same thing's going on in Japan as well. It's not just Ring of Honor. To say that it's just Ring of Honor is ridiculous.
No, but it is where you can see the development of it very, very quickly.
Well, the Ring of Honor is just trying to be a better version of Dragon Gate and kind of fails on all accounts.
Yeah. But even to Dragon Gate as well.
It's also a bunch of American and Canadian wrestlers trying to do strong style when they don't understand what strong style is.
But here's the thing about that in general. When I would watch a Ring of Honor show, or when I watched Dragon Gate, or even when I was watching the Super Junior Cup, I knew what I was getting into. It's a style of wrestling when you punch your ticket, shall we say, you're going to get high flying, you're going to get strong style, you're going to get loads of different things.
But it's the same,
depending on what you're watching.
It's the same thing. Like if like saying that wrestling's dead after watching that, like you haven't been watching Lucha Libre. If that's the case, you really haven't.
I would have said wrestling is dead after John Cena. To be fair, if there's anyone who's close to killing wrestling,
I would say Vince McMahon when he bought the territories. To be honest.
Oh well, dude, no, come on.
Yeah, because I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry. When he bought the territories, dude, he did such a number on being able to grow and develop stars. The fact of the matter is, people couldn't cool themselves off. They couldn't go off to other territories.
He killed wrestling at that time.
Yeah,
like as it was from taking it out of small dingy basements into what it is today. So yeah, he did. He killed wrestling as they knew it, not killed the entire sport as a whole.
So when he came out and said in the 90s and said that it was, they openly went, this is fake, do you think that didn't have an effect either? Or do you think that that was a massive part of it too?
Well, if it didn't result in the hottest period of wrestling, period, I would agree with you, but it did. What killed wrestling to really, to pull it away from John Cena, what I would say as far as like the impact, was one, the closure of WCW.
Yeah.
Like, once WCW closed, wrestling fans disappeared and never came back.
Yeah.
The end of the Attitude Era, not because it ended, but because of what it came into, where we had a terrible draft.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it was also them not making the brand, like not allowing the brand split to be a brand split.
Well, no. It was a brand split for like 3 or 4 years, but SmackDown was so lame.
The fact that they fired their head writer because he was doing too good of a job on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, they fired their head writer because he was doing too good of a job.
Remember how unwatchable Raw was from 2002 until like...
Yeah, no, and who was on top again?
2008?
Who was on top again in Raw from 2002? 2002?
It was grand when it was 2002, 2003. It only got bad once John Cena moved over.
So around the time when Batista beat Triple H, basically?
That's when it all went down. That's when it all went down. That's when I couldn't watch that show anymore. And it was horrible because I went back to wrestling.
But the thing was, like, when, like, Cena should never have been, like, Cena, to his credit, kind of took the position by the horns, and they haven't had the confidence to make anyone else the guy since him. Well, they've had plenty of opportunities.
It's because the whole Brock Lesnar Goldberg thing.
Yep.
If you really wanted to bring...
that was also a huge problem too.
Well, yeah, like, because Brock was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be the future of pro wrestling. And you know what? He still kind of is. Yeah. But they will never give him the ball and let him run with it, because he might just throw the ball down and go back to UFC, which, spoiler alert, he's kind of done anyway.
For one night only.
We'll see.
Where he's going to lose to a guy who has all the ability to knock his head off.
I do want to talk about that at a different time, because I want to finish on this. But you're right, man. Like
to say that one thing alone killed wrestling is kind of dumb.
But wrestling isn't dead, but... what I would say for people who... See, people are so alarmist nowadays. They want to freak out about everything. But if you wanted to define death periods in wrestling, which we've actually come out of now, and things have gotten slightly better, but for a very long time, I would say, as you said, from 2002, the drastic decline in American pro wrestling, it is huge. Yeah. Like, it's
some of the worst scary houses ever since 2002.
Yeah.
And
scary.
Until...
But when you think about it, it went from, like, wrestling in our lifetime, wrestling's gone from being something that you'd watch as a kid to being a cornerstone of pop culture to being dead, quite literally.
But what's really interesting about wrestling,
and then it's come back now.
What's interesting about professional wrestling is that up until about, you could probably say, like, the 80s, 90s, was that wrestling was seen as a man's man type of deal. And now, when you look at the majority of people who enjoy wrestling and the amount of guys who are wrestlers, they're all colossal nerds.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of legit heavyweights that wrestle now is so small.
But dude, that's like comics.
Yeah.
The Golden Age was written by people... For a lot of people don't know this because they don't do their research, but the original Marvel writers, they were hard drinkers, hard fighters. They'd write comics and then go out and have a bar fight.
Yeah.
Legit, they were tough guys. And then the kids who read those comics became writers. and they're colossal nerds. So that's how it happens. There is that kind of cyclical kind of cause and effect kind of thing. But yeah, man, we're coming out of a wrestling death cycle, and I don't think matches like Ricochet and Ospreay are going to have that big an effect. The tweet that I think Ospreay sent out says it best, where he's saying that we are trying to bring something new to the table, and it's transforming wrestling.
Well, it's trying to be art. Like, yeah, it really is.
But see, the same people that are complaining are probably complaining that John Cena is the worst in the world.
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways. You know, trying something new is not the same as not trying anything.
Yeah.
They aren't the same thing, you know. And look, if it does have a negative effect, which it didn't because the crowd loved it, they even got a "This is awesome" chant from the Japanese crowd, which was really weird because the Japanese don't do that.
I hate that chant.
So do I, but the Japanese doing that was really weird because...
Well, it was really respectful to the two guys because it showed...
Well, they knew that they were both foreigners.
Yeah.
And the best way that they as a Japanese crowd were trying to show respect was by using an American thing, which is really cool, which is why the Japanese are some of the best people in the world, because they will make that effort.
Yeah, because they're so respectful.
So respectful.
Something else we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
Because I have a rant coming.
Fair enough.